just a quick notice before the episode starts. I actually recorded 2 interviews, and then Courtney pointed out how similar the subjects were. So I'm going to be combining them into one single episode. So there's going to be 2 different interviews recorded a week apart, basically covering the same subject. So that's what this is. I hope you enjoy it regardless. And as always, thank you very much for your support. Hello and welcome back to the Ludiverse. I'm Jay, your host. With me in the same room again.
It's Courtney. Hi.
Yes, living in the same state does have its perks. And our guest today, would you care to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Plum.
Very nice to have you on the show. And okay, your fetish, your kink, or however somebody wants to define it, is something that Courtney and I both have a passing interest in, maybe a little more. But you've been doing it longer, so you would you care to explain your kink?
Yeah, I have my kink is cybernetics and AI. I like, for me, it's not about the inner workings, having like a human body and then having like a cybernetic arm or something like that, or having cyborg strength. I like the whole package of the robotics and the AI. I don't like the human part. I don't want a humanoid. I want a AI. I like robotics. I like the wires. I like the LEDs or whatever. I prefer that. The least human, the better.
Okay. I've seen movies involving, not many, really, but involving kind of non-human sexual interactions. The first Evil Dead kind of had a thing like that with the tree branches. There was a old movie called Demon Seed, where a computer that looked like a big box impregnated a woman.
I'm going to have to look that one up.
All of mine is just Pornhub based.
Yeah, and that's the problem that I have, and it's not because it's not sexy to have a lot of human parts, but it's just, it kind of misses the point of the not humanness of the AI, and I like that part of the kink where it's you're with something that's otherworldly or other. That other part is what's kinky for me, and it doesn't mean that there doesn't have to be like penetration or some sort of feeling of familiarity of like another of a person, but it's bothersome when I try to look up, like, for instance, any sort of kink or fetishes on sites where there's just like it's just a person with like goggles and maybe like a metal arm or something like that. It's like no, that's not what sex. The sexiness is all about the complete otherness and the complete, like, almost like you're being this other thing is so much stronger than you and so much different than you, and in my fantasy it's usually smarter. Like it's like a computer. I mean, they're a computer that you have no chance of being able to outrun it, outpace it, out anything of it, and you have that lack of control as well aspect for me. I don't know, this might be, let me gather my thoughts first.
So the Japanese trope of like tentacle rape appeals to you, yes?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Doesn't it, everyone?
Right.
So yeah, like there's an audience. There's an audience for everything, and you're that audience.
Oh, I know what it is. Harlan Ellison's "I Have No Mouth But I Must Scream." That overwhelming. You know the short story?
I do not. Do you?
Oh gosh.
What was the name of it again? Like the name of the...
It's "I Have No Mouth But I Must Scream."
See, that's the lyrics to a song that I know, but I don't think I've ever seen a video toward it.
Oh, okay. It's a short story, and it's amazing. It's by Harlan Ellison, who was a famous sci-fi author, and it's about a very vengeful, hateful of humans AI that has taken over the entire world, and a la Skynet, kind of. But that sense of just cosmic horror, of just like you have no way to outrun it, you have no way to beat it, and then it defiling you. Okay.
That sounds intriguing.
I think that's where it stemmed for me, because and also because I probably Terminator also probably helped that as a younger person. But it's that maybe a little bit of cosmic horror. Horror stuff, it turns me on, and so if it's scary, I'm into it. And AIs are kind of scary because I mean, like, heck, right now we're on the brink of being able to like have AIs that are very close to human, way past Uncanny Valley, and it's sexy. It's sexy to think of like this, like the massive amount of like change that's going to happen with all that. But for me, I'm really excited at the thought of it replacing some human interactions as well, and some of those interactions would be sex for sure.
That makes sense to me.
AIs don't get tired, and they also don't get whiskey dick.
Hacks.
I'm only human.
Are you telling on yourself?
Hey, I get tired.
But do you get whiskey dick?
I have.
Ooh. You're gonna be outrun by a robot.
Well, duh. That's why I got a stack of toys on my side table.
True.
So, H.P. Lovecraft would be kind of erotic stories for you.
Oh yeah, the cosmic horror in that, and the idea that it's like you have not only are you you can't do anything about it, but you're insignificant. It doesn't matter. They're there and they don't care that you exist. That's kind of like an ultimate. Then that gets into like almost like a BDSM slave sort of concept, slave master, and that's like, whew, I mean, they can do whatever they want with you and they don't care. It's hot.
Tis my favorite porn. Slave of Hell. Anyone?
Mm.
That was the first time that I got into an out of this world type of porn experience. And I must say, the first time that I watched it, I orgasmed so hard. I couldn't even believe that I actually got off to something like that. But apparently that is a big turn on to me. Fucking demons and them just having their way with you.
Yeah, that's really hot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is a kink fetish that would be kind of hard to actually experience in real life. Something that'd be kind of limited to fantasies.
Masturbation.
Yeah, I recognize that. I've been dabbling in trying to write erotica for this because of that, because it's so hard. You can't. I mean, you can try. I think the closest I've seen were people trying to like emulate. Aliens got pretty close, and like the Prometheus, what was it, Covenant? That got pretty close with them, that being so much more above you in like species and all that stuff, that it was just overwhelming. That was pretty close for me. I mean, it wasn't the same thing, but it was the same flavor.
Is it right? Okay.
Sometimes
okay.
I think of my kinks as being more not necessarily a genre, but more of a flavor. So like, if you can do for me, if you can get that flavor of feeling completely controlled, completely out of yourself, completely taken by something so much larger than yourself, so much physically, mentally, spiritually, it doesn't matter. Then that's the arousal. That's where it comes from. For me, that's why I said I've been thinking about writing erotica for it, because it's just so different than the general stuff that you see out there, that cosmic horror-y kind of feeling, but sexual.
It's not something that you really see a lot of in like mainstream media either. You kind of have to get into the specialty movies or like fan-made video games if you want to have anything like that, because a lot of
Silent Hill.
Well, like even in Silent Hill, all the bad guys were mostly human-shaped.
Yes, but Pyramid Head was also real damn close. Real close. And he was supposed to be like the epitome of justice or judgment? Judgment. Yeah. That's kind of freaky.
How you doing? You doing okay?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, yeah. I just was like, oh crap, I'm stepping on people. I didn't mean to.
Oh, no. I actually kind of just voiced in a little tiny thing. Just the nurses. Those were pretty hot.
Oh, the nurses are so hot. And that was, I always wanted to cosplay those nurses. But yeah, there was a lot of things in Pyramid, with like Pyramid Head, friends, is a main character that was like pretty cosmic horror, because he was always around. Like whatever. It was really hot. But yeah, I mean, that's another one that's had the flavor of that dread and cosmic horror-y feel. So
what's some media that you know of, either written, comic books, movies, anything like that you can think of that appeals to this interest of yours?
Let me think.
I mean, you mentioned Aliens and Prometheus and Silent Hill, but is there anything that goes a little more into it, a little less human-shaped?
Had it as on the tip. I usually have to come up with my own. Hold on. It's not Predator.
No, I'm just if you don't have anything, that's fine. I'm just curious. I'm asking for a friend.
So any Geiger paintings or anything, and this is on Light with Alien, because that was his baby, is gonna appeal to me in that way. And I'm trying to remember what the title of any of his paintings are that were really particularly steamy, but if you literally just Google Geiger paintings, any of them would appeal to that cybernetic and not somewhat human, but shaped a little bit, but not really, and it'll be pieces, but it won't be a whole thing, but it'll always be an entire, it won't just be a penis, like a metal penis. It'll be like an entire room of, you don't know where the penis is coming from, if it's the entire room is got a penis, or if it's just a penis. It's frightening. It's not human. It's only human in the slightest amount. I think Geiger's probably the closest I can think of that you could see right off the bat and be like, oh, okay, I can see that now, because most of it is head game for me. And then there's also let me think. There's anything with not Lynch, but Cronenberg. Cronenberg's a good example of really kind of almost grotesque things that can be sexy, like Naked Lunch. Naked Lunch is a good example of that kind of almost, but it's not human. It's not. It's otherworldly. Typewriters are having sex with you, kind of thing. It's just, is it AI? Is it alien? What is it? You don't know. And you don't have to know. That's the other thing. The least you know, the better. I mean, with Geiger's paintings and Geiger's things, it's what is it? It's you don't need to know, because that's not your place. Just be fucking taken. Oh, I'm sorry. Just be taken.
No, you can swear. I swore earlier.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Okay. It's the AI is going to take you, or whatever it is, the thing. Because that's the other thing. It's I have a hard time with trying to describe it too, because it's almost like a god, like getting fucked by a god. But again, we usually put gods in our own image, human image, and I'd like to think that it's more Solaris. Not the movies, because my God, they never did it right. But the books by Stanislaus Lem is another one where it's so otherworldly, but it's going to take you over. And it wasn't supposed to be sexual, but I took it that way because I'm a pervert.
Yes, well, embrace the pervert. I do.
Mm-hmm, precisely.
Actually, now I think about it. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Now I think about it, a lot of Stanislaus Lem's book were dabbled in that sci-fi kind of cosmic horror feel to it. But I think Solaris was a good one. Solaris was about it was about a living planet, but which is kind of a spoiler, but not really. And it was about a person discovering this, an astronaut or a space person discovering it, and then them trying to communicate, but also with the realization there is no way to communicate with this. It's so beyond them. It's like trying to, you're like an infant compared to a god. And it was very, very much so where it was mind rapey, but not rape, because they don't care, or it doesn't care. It's not thinking about that. It's not taking your feelings into consideration. Why would it?
Sounds very interesting.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, again, it's probably not. I'm not
how dare
you try to make it seem like a...
Oh no, I wouldn't say that it's. I wouldn't say that it's interesting if I didn't think it was actually interesting. I'm not going to yuck on your yum, but I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass about it either. I mean, unless that's your kink. I don't kink shame.
Thank you.
Exactly. I mean, I showed one of my more intense hentai porns to one of my freakiest friends I've ever met. He's done so much crazy shit in real life that I didn't think that he would react the way he did when I showed him my porn, but he was like, "You're a fucking freak." I'm like, "What?" Coming from the man that has tried this, and this, and you're calling me a freak? And he was like, "Yeah, that's some intense shit that you're watching."
Was it like Bible Black? What was it?
I'd have to look up the name, but the hentai that really got me off was one where there was it was basically like a show type competition type thing, and they brought these anime women in to different arenas with different demons. And there were some that were with zombies. There were some that were with like flying demon bat things. And there were some with a giant dragon looking thing. But yeah, I'd have to look up the name. But that was one of the ones where I got off really hard. And yeah, when I showed my friend that, he freaked out. Wow. Okay.
That seems really hot, but also kind of tame. Your friend seems like he might be a tad.
No, they end up fucking them to death.
Yeah, but still, your friend seems awful vanilla. For someone who's trying to be so, I'm a freak and all that.
Oh, yeah, because he's tried a magnitude of, like, human thing, but he's never really tried a magnitude of monster hentai type of things, if that makes any sense.
If you haven't watched anime or hentai where somebody's been fucked to death by a monster, then you really haven't watched hentai.
True.
At least once.
Yeah, I was 13 wanting Demona from Gargoyles to just take me away. You know, giant bat wings, claws. Ugh. Yes.
Oh my god. Gargoyles was so hot. That was so hot. And it was for children. I was like, this is, yes. Everything about that.
I can relate.
So, yeah.
Voice. Oh.
Yeah, I liked a lot of the voices. A lot of the voices were good.
What was the next?
Okay. So, I think we've pretty much covered that, unless there's anything that you think that needs to be said beyond.
I feel like I don't have much to say. I felt like I had more to say about it, but I realized that it actually is more about the feel, as I said, flavor, the feeling of it versus just AI, because it's not really just AI. It is about that and that otherworldly and other not human thing, the other. But you could take that and place it with many different things. So yeah.
Okay. Well, there was something else that you suggested talking about, and for some reason I can't remember what it was.
Masks?
Masks, that's it. Yeah. The mask fetish, which all this year must have been quite wild for you.
It's been so hard. It's been so difficult because I'll be talking to someone and and then you have to pretend like your eyes aren't dilated and stuff from being aroused talking with them.
So what is it about the mask that arouses you? Is it the added mystery of not being able to see exactly who you're talking to, or is it the fact that it obscures some human features so that it kind of ties into your other thing?
Yes, all of that. I love the anonymity. I love the non-human feel to it. Actually, motorcycle helmets are one of my favorite because it completely blanks out. No eyes, nothing. I don't want to see your eyes. I mean, I do, but when I'm in that mode, I'm like, don't show me your eyes. No eye contact, please. But masks are the easiest way, especially with the masks we have right now. But like gas masks, for instance, gas mask aesthetic is everything to me. But that post-apocalyptic feel. Oh, post-apocalyptic. I could get a whole thing on that. But anyways, but masks are obscure the features, so you could be anyone. And if you keep the eyes, if you're not wearing sunglasses or you've got your eyes exposed, then it's so intimate. It's so intimate because normally you have when you're with conversation, and I'm sure everybody can relate to this now because we're all wearing masks when we go out, you rely on facial mannerisms, gestures, all these things. You rely on the face so much when you're communicating, and when you don't have it and then you just have the eyes, you have to look them in the eye theoretically. It's like, are we dating now? What's going on? I mean, it's sexy, but it's also like it's vulnerable, and it puts you in like I would say it puts me in a subspace, but it can also put me in a dom. But it's the intimacy of that. Plus, I mean, you can also do all sorts of crazy things wearing masks. You can have like the decorations and all that, and it can show your personality better, which is not innately sexy, but it can be. I mean, like hell, if you've got like a steampunk thing going on with your mask, I'd be like, okay, hi.
I've definitely seduced a couple of people with my mask, just using my eyes, just to try it out. Like, just the certain look that I give people just to test out how they might react to it. And I can definitely see what you're saying, and it has definitely caught the eye of a few people. They're just like, oh, okay, those eyes are intense. Hello there.
So I've had similar, except that I've also scared people, so that's fun.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I mean, I don't look scary, but you would put on a mask, you can look scary. Oh, that's the other thing. You can get kind of a scare factor too, because you don't know who it is necessarily, and they don't have to talk to you. They could be nothing, so it can be like blank stare at you. Ooh, okay.
Well, I've seen your eyes, and they're definitely intense. You can tell there's a lot of thought going on behind them. So yeah.
You've also seen me in a mask too. I can look scary. I can look intimidating, maybe. I don't know. I'm not very tall, so but I'm sure I could.
Yeah. Well, how big's a stick of dynamite?
Usually pretty tiny.
Yeah. See, don't. Yeah. It appeals to my
Small, but
Star Wars thing. Judge me by my size, do you? Size matters not.
Because I'm literally wearing I'm into choking Darth Vader shirt right now.
Yeah, I'm sitting on a Star Wars bedspread. So
with a Star Wars bracelet.
Oh yeah, I never take that off. Well, if I have to, I will. But so, okay. Of all the kinks, fetishes that you've heard of, which one would you say that you would most like to, learn more about or try that you've never had a chance to for whatever reason?
Oh, I've done a lot, so I'm like thinking, well, what haven't I done a lot of, dabbled in? So I've never really done breath play to the full extent. I've played around with it, but I've never done what I've seen in porns, for instance, with somebody or with myself. It just brief things, and that sounds like fun. Sounds a little claustrophobic, but I'm kind of into it, so that's fine.
It's very fun.
I don't know anything about that.
I know a lot about it, and I've tried it a lot, and it is very fun because you have that fear of, oh no, I think I'm gonna black out, but as soon as, like, right before you do, you end up coming, and then they let you breathe, and you're like, ah, so much better.
I think the biggest thing for me though is that finding somebody who is medically knowledgeable enough to be able to do that, because I find a lot of people say they want to do it, but then they have no idea how to safely do it, and then it's just like, oh well, I'm dead now. Thank you.
Yeah, we're the right dom that knows what they're doing, because that's where all of mine came from, was a very experienced dom that knows how to do breath play and also different styles of choking. So
that is really, really hot. I love choking. I don't do choking with barely anyone, because unless they know how to do it, there's no way I'm going to particularly don't want to be injured.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, if you don't feel safe in what you're doing, then you're not going to get the enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, and you go 2 inches towards the middle and you could kill someone.
Right, which may appeal to somebody else's kink entirely. So, okay. So, other end of the spectrum of all the kinks and fetishes that you've heard of, are there any that you have absolutely no interest in trying or would never try again?
Yeah. So there's one that I've never done, but I keep hearing about. I think because of COVID, the disease that's going on right now. Can I say that word?
What was that?
Can I say COVID?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Because okay. So there's a kink that I've heard about only because of COVID. What is it called? Bug catchers? Nope. Never would want to partake in that. No, thank you. But it's interesting on a psychological level, but nope. Mm-mm.
I have never even heard of that.
Right? Elaborate, please.
Okay. So I'm sorry ahead of time. It's people who intentionally have sex with people with STDs or STIs or other diseases, who are trying to get the disease and then get off to getting the disease, or like chlamydia, gonorrhea, herpes. It doesn't matter. They're
thing?
all about it. They want it.
Yeah. No kink shame, but definitely not kink same.
Not at all.
Wow.
Oh my god.
And I'm all about racks. I am all about, like, you want to do I've done scarification. I've done burning. I've done safe burning. I've done all those sorts of things. I'm all about, consent. And if this is your yum, fine. But that one, syphilis, one person was looking for somebody with syphilis. I'm like, oh, wow, no, no thanks. No, that's one that I refuse to even pretend with. I'm like, nope.
And now,
That would be an interesting person to interview.
yeah, I'd definitely like to know what's going on upstairs.
Wow. Okay then.
Oh, I should laugh.
I honestly, I knew that something was going to come up that was going to catch me off guard. I knew it was going to happen. There's too much going on that I don't know. I did
I'm
not
really
think that
happy
it would be that.
I'm really happy that I did that for you. I feel like I popped your cherry.
Definitely mine. I've never heard of
Yeah,
that before.
I mean, I had heard of people like intentionally giving it to other people just because they're assholes.
Right?
But to get sexually off on getting it, okay.
Yeah, no thanks.
Okay then.
Yeah. All right then. Moving on.
Did I give enough information about the AI stuff? I feel like I got too nervous.
No, you're fine. It was there wasn't quite as much to it as I kind of thought there might be, but what you did say covered pretty well what it was. I mean, did you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I think that she covered it all.
Yeah, I mean, not every kink or fetish needs an entire like library of information to go with it. Some of them are just like, well, this because this and that, and then you're done.
Quite simple.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I do have something to add to the AI thing, though. It's not just the inhuman thing, but it's kind of I have a thing for cold, apathetic, potentially cruel, sadistic, those types of traits. And in non-human things, you cut out the emotions, cut out the middleman, and it's just sexual power. It's just power or control or that feeling of lack of control on my part. And that's really sexy to me. Because if you cut out that human part, you cut out all those emotions and all those feelings and all that. It's just sensation.
Sounds like fun.
Oh yeah, I enjoy that factor too, honestly.
And
All
that's
right.
actually another issue with those darn romance novels that try to pretend that they're about AI or cyborg, because they're always, and then I fell in love with him. I'm like, no, stop that. You're ruining the story.
Okay, if you like the show, you feel free to leave a rating and review on whatever podcast app you use. You can join our Patreon and financially support the show, like our guests Zachary Hale and Larry. We have Twitter. We have Facebook. I'm working on getting an Instagram together. Just search, the name of the show, Ludiverse, and we're everywhere. We have merchandise. All the links will be in the show notes. But thank you for being on the show, Plum.
Thank you.
And
Thanks for having me.
Until the next time, keep communicating, keep each other safe, and remember to have fun.
Amen to that. Thank you very much, Plum.
And now the second part of our two-part interview. Enjoy. Would you care to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Luna.
Hello, Luna. And you are here to talk about basically monster fucking, yes?
Yep.
Okay. So what is it about monsters and basically non-humans that attracts you? Is it some way that the humans don't, or is it an equal attraction?
It's more of an equal attraction. There are creatures that are a little more humanoid, like a vampire or merfolk. I've always been more attracted to those types. And then you have your non-humanoids, or, your actual quote-unquote real monsters, like a tentacle monster, like a werewolf, like, some deep-sea horror. But for me, it is the difference in, I guess, the race. I think that it's interesting to me. One thing that's always really interested me is the different dick shapes, to just put it bluntly.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures, and some of them get very interesting.
Oh, yeah. Like, if you've never been to Bad Dragon, oh my goodness.
I've been to Bad Dragon. I went to Bad Dragon back when they actually had art to go along with each one of their products.
I know, I'm so sad they stopped doing that.
So, but yeah. But Bad Dragon has its own problems. But that's neither here nor there. So, of all the monsters that you've seen, been exposed to, which one would you say appeals to you the most?
Tentacle monsters, no questions asked.
Nice.
And what is it about tentacle monsters that you find so appealing?
For me, it comes down to I guess the multitude of phallic items that they have, the ability that they have where they could completely take control and not backtalk most of them.
Yeah, most of them don't actually have faces. They're just like wads of tentacles.
Yeah, like I guess if you kind of think of Tangela from Pokemon.
Yeah.
I remember watching Pokemon and I was, I was a preteen coming into a teenager, and I was sitting down with a friend of mine, and we were watching Pokemon, and Tangela came onto the screen, and I remember thinking to myself, boy, this has awoken something in me. And it's come from there.
So, have you ever been exposed to any of H.P. Lovecraft's work?
Oh, yes. He's actually one of my favorite authors. I have his complete works in a very beautifully done hardback book. Gorgeous.
So, all right. So you mentioned the more human-like monsters, like vampires. Like I've seen people talk about like some characters from anime that look human but are basically like dragons or demons or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like, would that be a lesser monster attraction, or because they basically look human, or is it something about the fact that inside they're more than human that like adds something to it?
The fact that it's something inside that they're not completely human, that is a big thing for me. I'm rewatching the entire Buffy the Vampire Slayer series on Hulu right now, and I'm thinking to myself, oh man, Spike could get it.
Yeah, well, James Marsters is a pretty man, so
He is.
You got anything?
I mean, going back to the whole which is your favorite thing, I think my favorite monster to fuck would have to be like werewolves or vampires, another one. Demons with horns. I just like the whole factor of grabbing the horns and fucking the hell out of them.
Oh yeah.
It's just my thing. Yeah.
Seems like you two would get along pretty well.
Yep.
Like I could sit down all day and talk about monster fucking.
Well, okay, so go ahead. What's on your mind? Tell us about monster fucking. How you got into it, what attracts you to it.
Well, really going back to when I was younger and watching Pokemon with one of my girlfriends and seeing Tangela and thinking, oh, that awoke something in me. Really, it's been since then, and anytime that I watch, like Supernatural or Buffy or really anything that's got, subhumans, humanoid monsters or other kinds of creatures, I'm always thinking to myself, what would it be like to be sexually intimate with them? What would their penis look like? All of that sort of stuff. I'm also a huge D&D player. And I don't think I've ever actually played just a straight human. I've always played some sort of, humanoid or non-human, like a tabaxi, or one of my current characters is a tiefling. And she is, not to toot my own horn, but she is gorgeous, and I designed her myself.
Yeah, I played D&D also, so I am very familiar with the creating characters to fit some kind of personal ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't play D&D, but I've always wanted to be a vampire, so if that counts, then...
Immortality?
Exactly. And the teeth.
Yeah. And the teeth. Fangs are fun.
Yes, very, very, very kinky. I think Underworld is what really got me into the whole werewolves and vampires fucking thing, because there's a lot of scenes with them.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a straight sex scene in a couple of them.
Uh-huh. Like the vampire one.
Celine?
No, it wasn't her, it wasn't character. It was one of the other powerful vampires, like another elder almost. And he had two women living with him alone in a castle, and it shot to him like having amazing sex with two of these women and just biting and fucking and biting and fucking, and it's just whoa.
Oh yeah, no, I know exactly what scene you're talking about.
Thank you. Love that scene.
Oh, it's very good.
Have either of you ever seen the Howling movies?
I cannot say I have.
Yeah, they came, I'm thinking early 80s, maybe late 70s, and they were werewolf movies. And they had the content limits of that time frame. So there was pretty gratuitous sex scenes with werewolves.
Have to check that one out.
Just once you get back past the fact that it's 80s acting and 80s special effects.
Yeah, gotta love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how that could put a damper on.
So I had discussed the concept of monster fucking, which I learned from a podcast recently that is actually called Teratophilia. They said that it's basically furries with unusual animals.
Yeah, okay.
What do you think about that?
I mean, I am a furry as well. You know, I'm a part of the furry community. And there, you know, yeah, there's a lot of porn in the furry community, but a lot of people have been, you know, in the recent years on the internet especially, I've been seeing people move away from, you know, your standard fox or your standard wolf persona, and, you know, they're moving towards, you know, some people have got a cow or a bull. I've seen a lot of dragons popping up lately, and a lot of other mythical beings. Have been neat.
Yeah, my persona is it's like a wolf honey bear hybrid.
That's cool.
So okay, well that's interesting.
I was gonna say, don't look at me.
Nah,
I'm not really a furry.
Might have to get you back on the show to talk about furries because I've been looking for somebody willing to talk about that.
I have a couple of the friends who you could hit up as well.
That's cool. Okay. So of the monsters that you've been exposed to, which one would you say you'd be least attracted to?
The least attracted to? If we're talking about just straight sex, probably a minotaur, just based on the size of the dick that they would have. Sweet lord.
See, this is where me and you are not the same.
Well, minotaur and centaurs.
The thought of it has always been interesting to me, and aesthetically, I think that they're amazing to look at. I love seeing art of minotaurs and centaurs, but actually fucking one would be a nightmare, because I don't think I could do horse dick.
Probably couldn't take one, but I'd try. I'm gonna be honest. Especially if it was a minotaur or centaur.
Friend of mine who he is big into minotaurs, and he's told me multiple times, if I could be a monster, I'd be a minotaur.
So, all right. Here's a question that's been roaming around the internet. Where would the dick on a centaur be? Would it be the human dick or the horse dick?
It'd be a mixture between both, kind of. Like, some could have the horse dick, some could have the normal.
It's a possibility.
Coin toss. Which one are you?
Okay. So if somebody had their awakening moment and they realized, you know, this thing isn't human in any way, shape, or form, but it, you know, makes me feel a kind of way, and you happen to run into them, what kind of advice would you give somebody just starting out?
Just starting out, I would recommend that, you know, they do more research on the monster that they're interested in. You know, let's say that, you know, they see a werewolf transformation and the final, you know, whenever they're fully transformed into a werewolf, and that gets them going, I would tell them to just do more research on them. You know, look up what you might find attractive or interesting about them, and just read, and then, you know, possibly move on to porn if it's a sexual thing for them.
Yeah, well, that sounds like pretty good advice.
Yeah, whenever it happened to me, I just went off the deep end and just went straight to porn.
Yeah, I think my awakening moment was gargoyles.
Oh yeah, you did mention that last time.
Yeah, Demona popped out, and I was like, oh, wait.
Shit, I'm into that.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure a majority of people at some point in their life are, you know, have a moment of attraction to something that's like, I shouldn't be attracted to that, but,
Yeah, mine was when I was a teenager, so, like, whenever the Underworld movies came out, I can't really remember when they did, but whenever they came out, that's when I was into it. That's when I started looking up different stuff. I was like, intriguing.
Mm-hmm. Also, Disney movies. Like, this is gonna sound like a cliche, but Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah,
that was a big one for me.
Yeah, it's a pretty popular one too. I've seen people have been attracted to Disney's Beast. People have been attracted to back in the 80s, they had a TV series where Ron Perlman played the Beast.
Ron Perlman's a good-looking guy in and of itself, and of himself.
Yeah, he looked kind of like a human lion in that show.
Yeah, I can see where the attraction lies.
Yeah, but okay, all right. So, is there anything else that we haven't covered about teratophilia that you think needs to be said?
I think if a big thing is if you're going to be getting into monster fucking and you have a sexual partner who's also into monster fucking, it's really important that the two of you sit down and talk about what you're both into, what are your yeses, what are your nos. If you're wanting to bring toys into play, you need to sit down and do your research. Research is really key whenever it comes to monster fucking, in my opinion.
And it comes back to communication.
Oh yeah, communication is a big thing. And not just in monster fucking, but every aspect of life.
Yeah. Okay, so, aside from teratophilia, of any kinks or fetishes that you may have heard of, are there any others that you're into?
Well, if we're talking non-monsters, there's a long list, of course, but...
Okay, well, what would you say would be the top of that list?
The top of that list? Well, that's a good question. Oh gosh, that's a really good question.
Okay, how about the bottom of the list?
That's another good question.
Yeah, something that you've heard of that you have no interest in or have tried and would never try again.
That's a tough question because there's a lot of stuff that I've heard of and there's a lot of stuff that I've read about that has kind of made me go, huh? And then I would stop and think, but anything with bodily fluids aside from semen, honestly, that's a big no for me, honestly.
That's a pretty common answer.
Yep.
So far, we've had one person on the show that was like, I'm all about it. And that was the topic of the show, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the type of person to kink shame anyone. It's just, it's not my kink.
Yeah, we don't kink shame here. And, but yeah, like, we don't share everyone's kink, but we won't yuck your yum.
Exactly. I mean, that's how it should be.
So, you have any questions?
Yeah,
Actually, I think we covered it.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, did you have a question?
Yeah, actually, if either of you could be any type of monster, what would you be?
Vampire. Hands down.
Valid.
Probably either a werewolf or some sort of dragon.
Dragons are very hot.
Yeah, because I've always had an attraction to dragons. Not even sexually. Just like
aesthetically, they're gorgeous.
Oh yeah, I've been drawn to dragons since I was a child, and it's like I'm part Cherokee, and my Native American name is Nightwolf. So I got like a wolf thing with that.
I totally get that. Whenever it first came out, I really vibed with Donkey from Shrek about the whole dragon fucking thing. I would sit there and I'd think to myself, you know what? Good for him.
Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there was that moment where she went from like fierce dragon to all of a sudden feminine eyes and lips, and it's like, oh wait,
With that mouth, dude.
It's like this.
Oh man.
Just sit there and think, damn. I'm down with that.
It's like in the what was it, 2 where Donkey turned into the stallion? Or was that the third one?
I wondered what the dragon looked like.
What did the dragon turn into?
Right.
I'll bet she was a beautiful woman.
Oh yeah.
Probably.
Those big, pretty bedroom eyes of hers.
I think that was everybody's question, though. Literally everybody. They're just probably like, well, showed everybody else, just, what the hell?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have, like, a Twitter or Instagram or an OnlyFans or whatever, or anything that you want people to follow you on for whatever reason?
Well, my husband and I have actually been debating on whether or not we would give OnlyFans a try. Whenever it comes to fetishes, monster fucking is my biggest fetish, and we've actually got a toy from Bad Dragon. We have a small taco, which is one of the tentacles, and the next on our list to buy is actually one of the wearable sheets for my husband.
That's cool.
I have made some personal private porn just for, my husband and I's use, and one of them I did use my tentacle, and he was a really...
That's hot.
Oh yeah, yeah. So no links or anything to Twitter.
No, my monster fucking is mostly kept to either the Facebook group, my personal Discord, and my husband and I's relationship.
That's fair. Well, if you happen to get a OnlyFans going, feel free to shoot me a message, and I will help advertise for you.
Really appreciate that.
Okay, so thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for discussing something that could be seen as kind of personal.
Well,
Yep.
I'm a very sexually expressive person, and I believe that sex is a big part of life. Whether you are monogamous, whether you're polyamorous, if you just go around having casual sex with people, it all boils down to consent, what you like, and whatever makes you happy.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Consent is always key in everything, especially sex.
All right. Well, on that note, want to thank everybody for listening to the show. Want to give a shout out to the financial supporters, Zachary, Hale, and Larry. And feel free to ask any extra questions or comments on our Twitter. And if you have any questions for Luna, I can get them to her, and we can get those answers back to you, if that's okay with you, Luna.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, until next time, keep communicating, keep each other safe, and have fun, everybody.
Bye!
Thank you for listening to Ludiverse. If you have any questions or comments, contact us on Twitter or Facebook. Just search for the Ludiverse. Remember to rate and review wherever you listen. If you want to help support the show, please consider donating to our Patreon.